Well, here we are. We are on episode 2 of the For My Family, For My Future podcast. I'm pumped, and you're here with a green hoodie that you took a risk today with the new For My Family, For My Future merch, which is available for purchase. Shameless plug. But
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug. But it also matches the wall, which is my favorite thing because
this is in right now.
It is, and we are hunter green to the max. Obsessed. Today's episode brought to you by Josh Bourgeois' Java Monster energy drink that he hooked me up with. Because here's the deal: I was gonna have this episode be brought to you by Starbucks.
Yeah.
Still would love a corporate sponsorship, and I'm gonna keep plugging corporate sponsorships till we get one. But the Starbucks line was like 20 minutes long, and so we had to caffeinate in other ways. You have just a regular cup of coffee, and I have Josh's Java Monster. So shout out Java Monster. Corporate sponsorship.
That's what happens when you plan on going to Starbucks, but then you wait to drop your 3 children off for an hour.
Yeah, dropping kids off at school is a whole thing. Car line's a whole thing.
Yeah.
I also think it's hilarious. Like, this is like the first time we've talked to each other, like without something crazy going on, some problem to solve, some fire to put out, some kid to take care of since. Yeah, it's been like 3 days. So hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I love you.
I love you too. I think it sets us up really well to have this conversation today that I think a lot of people will need to hear because I think it's good because we're like in it.
In it.
It's not like today's topic is not something that we are, past and graduated beyond. It's like raw. What we're dealing with right here, right now, which is how to maintain joy when life is exhausting.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really, really big deal. You know, when we think about for my family, for my future, I feel like in every season of life, we want to have joy. Mm-hmm. We want to really be grateful, and we want to be content, and we want to feel like, we're present in the moment and we're enjoying all these different seasons. But I feel like every season has the temptation to be incredibly exhausting. Mm-hmm. And, we say this all the time at church. We talk about how the devil loves to steal, kill, and destroy your life. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the ways he does that is by taking great seasons of life and making them really, really tiring, really, really frantic, and just sucking the joy out of them.
Yeah.
I think about even before we had kids, when we first got married, the newlywed season, even like the wedding itself, movies paint it like it's the most glorious thing ever. Mm-hmm. But like our wedding was a blur.
I don't remember it. I was just going to say, are you wanting me to like talk about something specific that happened at our wedding? I mean, I remember photos, and I remember some people, and I remember that we didn't get to eat.
Correct.
During it. Like during the reception, and we left with like 400 boxes of something.
Yeah.
What was that?
I don't know. We left with all these boxes of food that we were supposed to heat up.
Yeah. So we ate our
wedding dinner
in takeout boxes.
The whole thing was just a blur.
Yeah. It was a mess, but it was fun. There was a lot of joy that happened.
Sure. And that's the thing, like the seasons can be actually really good.
Yeah. But
if you don't find ways to slow down and to really have joy, it can get exhausting real quick. I feel like the same is true, when we think about how the movies paint like the baby stage. Mm-hmm. You have babies, and it's like, oh, they're so sweet, and they're so tiny, and they like the cries are so quiet, and then they're not.
Nope.
And I mean, you had postpartum depression with every single child that we.
And I don't think I knew it. I didn't know it with our oldest. Mm-hmm. I just didn't feel right. Didn't feel like myself. And then probably 6 months after he was born, it was like, oh.
The clouds parted and
I have
you felt normal again, yeah.
And then with our second, it lasted a little bit longer. And then with our third, I mean, it was a full-on year.
Yeah, it was a full year.
And I actually remember the day that I started to go, oh, wait, this can get better. Mm-hmm. I will be okay. Mm-hmm. I enjoy my life.
Yep.
We were like on a walk. Do you remember this? We were on a walk. We were living in the tiny house at the time.
Oh, yeah. That was funny. We had a season of life where we lived in what we call the tiny house. Actually, it wasn't a tiny house. It was just a like 2-bedroom apartment. And
It
we
was
had
800 square
we
feet.
had 3 kids. And so Brittany and I were sleeping on the couch in the living room, and our kids were sharing a room, and then baby had it was the whole thing. The best part of the tiny house was when in the mornings I couldn't walk up. The only bathroom was upstairs. And
Yeah, 2 bed, 1 bath.
and the steps would creak so bad, and we were so focused on making sure the baby doesn't wake up. It's like, if I walk up the stairs to pee, I'm going to wake this baby up. So for a solid year,
Yeah.
I peed off my back porch in the mornings.
And for a solid year, I slept while nursing a baby on a pull-out couch that, like, the mattress was.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It was brutal.
And I would wake up like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die.
But you remember we were going on a walk.
We were going
in the
on a
tiny
walk.
house.
Like to this little park, and like I think I just could see like past right here
Yeah.
for the first time, and I was like,
Whew.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
And Tatum was a year old.
Yeah. But that season's supposed to be so sweet and amazing, and oftentimes it's really hard. And then, I mean, I feel like even now, we've got grade school aged kids, and I feel like everyone points to like how fun it's going to be, and reality is like we got home from work yesterday, and we had to go to a back to school night, and we were there freaking all night long.
Yeah.
And the information that they're giving, I'm like, come on, people! Like, I just want to go home. Can we just go home? Oh, can we just watch something online? And it can just get so exhausting. So I think it's just important for us to say that if you're, no matter what stage you're in, if you feel like, man, I should be enjoying this.
Right.
I should be loving this, but you don't feel happy, or you don't feel content, or you just feel tired. I think it's pretty normal. I think that's what the devil does. Mm-hmm. Like, the devil loves to do anything he can to ruin life. Mm-hmm. And so, we've been through a lot of those seasons, and I think it's just important maybe for us to share like how we are approaching that, how we're maintaining joy. Because I do think, and it's a fight, but but I do think that in a lot of ways we are overcoming, and we are being victorious in it. Life is still hard,
for sure,
and it's not like we're smiling every single day. But I do think that I think we're doing some things that are working, and I badly want that for anyone listening to this podcast.
Absolutely. I think too, though, there's a difference between happiness and joy.
Totally.
And happiness is like this fleeting, like, oh, that made me happy.
Yep.
I experienced something that made me like, like a little bit. Joy is like, comes from within.
Yeah, it's got to be deeper.
Yeah.
It's like a deeper abiding sense of, I think, when I think joy, I always think like there's a deep gratitude, a deep contentment, a deep peace and trust and satisfaction. It's not, and that doesn't always equal smiles.
Yeah. Oh, it could come through tears.
Absolutely. But you just know like this is right, this is good, this is the right path.
Yeah.
And gratitude. I think joy and gratitude are so linked.
For sure.
So, when we think about how in the midst of leading a church, raising a young family, all the chaos that is our life. and we just got through saying that this is the first time in 3 days that we've really sat down and talked, which is crazy.
Talked, but it's been about
and
other things.
And we've just had to go.
Yeah.
But how are we fighting to maintain joy in the midst of a crazy, crazy, crazy life? Because the pace ain't slowing down.
No, it's only going to get more.
It feels like, at least.
Intense. I think for a very long time, though, we would say to each other, this is just, like, it won't always be this busy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's just a season.
Right. It's just a season. And that's true. Like, but it's like a season, bang, another season, bang, another season.
Yeah. We say it's just a season as if the next season won't be more intense and more fast paced.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've had so many conversations about this. I do think deep in my soul, I've talked with many close friends about this. We've talked about it. There is something deep in my soul that I just believe that the 21st century American Christian lifestyle is just ruthlessly fast paced.
It is.
And I think it's not good for the soul. I think when you look at, centuries before, no people group lived as fast paced as we are right now. And everyone just thinks it's normal.
Well, and I think even like if we were to go to our kids, I don't think they like fast pace, but they also don't know how to be bored.
Yeah.
And you cannot do both. Like you cannot have a non-fast pace life in their eyes and also not be bored. Like anytime we have free time at home, they're like, what are we going to do? It's like we've been looking for moments in our week, moments in our month where it's like we don't have anything going on. And then 15 minutes later, I'm so bored. It's like, let's just like be a family and sit here on the couch and connect and talk.
Which I do think that's one of the primary ways that we have learned to fight for joy in the midst of exhaustion is by learning to say no a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, just this past weekend, we got invited to go do something with another family. And man, I had just been going with church stuff and all this night after night after night. And you and the kids wanted to go. And I had to just say, for the sake of my own soul and sanity, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit at home by myself and work on my sermon a little bit. And I'm just going to chill because I can't be my best for you all if I don't find ways to say no. And I think most families don't say no to much of anything.
Well, and I don't know what your internal dialogue was, but I felt like when we left to go, you were like, are you sure this is okay? Like you were expecting me. I did say right before we left, if you want to come, please come. But also, it's okay. And we haven't done that very much where it's like, I have the bandwidth or the margin or whatever you want to call it to take our kids to do something fun with their friends. Whoops. And you don't. And so I go.
Yeah. I think it's important for both spouses to to give each other that. You know, and the reason that I know that it's
like when I came home, you said, are we okay?
Yeah.
Yes, babe, we're fine.
Yeah.
But we've not been smart enough to say, hey, I cannot do this today.
Right.
You guys can. There's no hard feelings. There's no anything in there.
Because you often have FOMO.
Yes.
With social events. Yeah. You have fear of missing out. I have JOMO. I have the joy of missing out.
Yeah.
I love being by myself and I love saying, I love not doing things. It's great. I'm a homebody. I'm an introvert at heart and all that. And so that creates a lot of opportunities for us to either say yes too often.
Right.
Or then for me, when we say no, I'm like, are we good? Yeah, okay, we're good. But I just think in general, we've learned to say no more to social obligations, to sports opportunities, church obligations, church opportunities, business opportunities. I just think the more we say no, the better off our hearts and our souls are, because there's no way we're going to get to the end of this life in this cultural moment and feel like we didn't have enough opportunity.
No.
The shortage is not opportunity.
Yeah. And I think
the shortage is discipline
right.
on choosing the right opportunities.
Right. And I think in a sense, what we're doing is leaving room for gratitude.
Yes.
If it's like I'm not a must have something planned or I feel FOMO.
Yeah.
That's not me at all. But I also know that if I don't have moments in my week, in my month, in my day even.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I can breathe. I can actually think, which these last 3 days have not been that.
And I think you said something that's so key in there. Like margin is where you actually have room for gratitude.
Yeah.
I think there's so many people that have so many good things going on in their life. God has blessed them in so many ways, but they don't feel gratitude because they have no margin to feel gratitude.
Well, then it just feels like the next thing after thing after thing after thing. Like these all might be things that can find joy in and be grateful for, but it's all going so fast. I don't even have any time to sit in that at all.
Yeah. But then you flip that on the other side too. I think one of the ways that we have fought for joy in the midst of exhaustion is not just saying no to things a lot, but also when we do say yes. You taught me this early on, and it's really been helpful for us.
I don't even know what you're saying.
I know.
Okay.
That we need to always have something on the calendar to look forward to.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
You've been really big on that, because I think that when life hits and it's really heavy and painful or sorrowful, it's really easy to get bogged down into that and think that that's like everything going on in life is that one negative situation.
Right.
And you've been so good at in our marriage of saying, hey, yeah, but remember we're going skiing with the kids here in a month or two.
Right.
Hey, remember we've got, your 97-year-old Graham is coming in this year for Thanksgiving. First time she's been to Colorado to see us and the kids. And
yeah. It could also, like, seriously though, it could be like, okay, on Sunday I get to go to Texas Roadhouse.
Shout out Texas Roadhouse.
But I mean,
another corporate
it
sponsor.
doesn't have to be like this grandiose.
Right. We go get free dinner rolls at Texas Roadhouse. This is going to be great.
Yeah. And all that started from, so when we got married, 6 months, was it 6 months after we got married, we moved across the country.
Mm-hmm.
So
we moved from Kentucky to Seattle, Washington to help start a church.
Yeah. And so when we moved, all of our family, all of our friends, everything we knew was back in Kentucky. And at that time, my parents had already moved to North Carolina. And so I didn't feel, because my parents had moved, I didn't feel like I had home. And I know that's weird. Maybe it's not weird.
No, I think it's
like
normal.
my parents had moved. My sister was still living in my hometown, but I felt like all vacations and holidays and all of that stuff was going to just be different. And it really helped me a ton to know that, like, when they would come out, they would not leave again before we had
the next day,
the next
trip on the calendar.
And then I started going, well, we can, like,
Yeah.
we should probably do that for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, especially once we started to have kids, it was like, I think that's really cool.
And so, like, a big one for us is date night.
Huge.
That is like the thing we always have on the calendar that we are looking forward to next. I mean, the amount of times we text each other like date nights in 13 days.
Right.
Date night. Oh my, like even
I'll
like
send you a text with like
3
that's it.
3 days left. Yeah.
We just count down.
We just count down, and I think that helps you, like, for someone who does enjoy like having something on the calendar to look forward to. For me, that early on didn't speak to me.
Oh, we would go, like, we would have a major family vacation planned, and I'd be like, "How are you excited?" I mean, it's like in like 4 days, and you're like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah, but it over time it has really helped me maintain joy, and it just helps you deal with heavy seasons. It's like, yeah, this is heavy, but this isn't going to last forever,
right?
And this isn't the only thing that's happening in my life,
Right?
God is doing so much more in my life. One negative situation is not going to define me. Oh man, we got so much good things to look forward to. God's so good. We have a great future in store for us.
Absolutely.
And I think you've been really helpful
Awesome.
in pulling me up out of that.
I didn't even know that.
No.
I mean, I knew that's how I'm kind of wired. That's how God's made me, but I didn't know that was.
Well, I think too, that was something I learned that you had instilled in you early on. Because I remember you told me that when you were a child, your dad used to take you every Saturday morning to Cinnabon.
Oh yeah,
Cinnabon.
No, it wasn't Cinnabon.
But it was like Cinnabon, right?
It was like, yeah, like a Lex.
TJ Cinnamons.
TJ Cinnamon.
TJ Cinnamons. It was like Cinnabon type thing.
Yeah.
And you were like, I always look forward to Saturday mornings with my dad at TJ Cinnamon. And I was like, oh man, that's like something that was instilled in you early on. And so now, like, our kids, like Sunday morning they wake up, and before we go to church, it's cinnamon roll Sunday morning.
Yeah.
That's something to look forward to. I think it's helpful. Yeah. Because life is hard.
Life is
super hard.
Yeah.
I think too that one of the things that's really helped us the deal with and maintain joy in this is that, yes, it's been 3 days probably since we've had a real sit down, let's talk through life, and that's rare for us.
That's super rare for us.
That's super rare for us, because I think the thing that's really, really helped us maintain joy in the midst of all these seasons is talking through just about everything.
Literally.
I mean, we have been each other's counselor for going on 20 years now. We've been married for 16, dated for 4. And from the get-go, I mean, from our first few months of dating, we were processing through just about everything in life together. And I think that's been really helpful, because the way that our marriage works, I know it's no different than how most marriages work, is that when one person's down, the other person usually has perspective to bring them up. When the other person's down, the other person usually has perspective to bring them up. And so, we prioritize nightly walks together and sit around the fire pit once or twice a week. And
we oftentimes, like, if we don't know where to start, I notice that you and I will say, like, how's your head? How's your heart?
How's your head? How's your heart? We've been asking those 2 questions nonstop.
Like, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? Just lay it on me. Because sometimes you're just like, you do get to the point where you're like, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have somebody who knows you and loves you and cares for you more than anything,
Yep.
go, hey, like, actually, how are you actually doing?
Yeah.
And that can open up a ton.
Yeah.
Right there.
So helpful.
Yeah.
I mean, the number of times you've lifted me up out of sadness and just exhaustion and been like, man, look at how awesome our kids are.
Yeah.
Wow, man, look at how much the church is growing, and just encouraging and all that. I think it's such an important part of a marriage is the counseling aspect of it. Everybody needs professional counseling.
Oh. Yes.
But I do think that marriage, your spouse should also serve in that role somehow, some way.
And there have been times where I am out of words. I don't know what else to say. And so if I know that that's the case, before I feel like we're getting ready to have a pretty intense conversation, I just immediately pray. Like, I don't know what to say right now. Help me know when to speak and when to listen. And let's go.
But also then usually what happens is those conversations turn into just talking about life and talking about the goodness of God and enjoying each other. I mean,
Dreaming together again.
yeah, I mean, when we're out of the fire pit and I've got a whiskey and you've got a wine and it's just the good life. It's like, man, how could this get any better than being with the woman that I've married, sitting in Colorado in a backyard like this? Like, man, this is just so good. Like, life is so good. But it's because we've maintained that connection. That's where I think like date night, all that stuff. Like, I think the healthy marriage, for those of you that are families, your parents, you're married, I think that the health of your marriage is such a primary source of joy in your life.
Absolutely.
If your marriage is solid, it's hard for much of life to get you down. If you got a great spouse to come home to and you've got great intimacy together and great communication together and you actually just enjoy each other, oh man, it's like the world could throw anything at us.
Right.
And I'm like, as long as we're good, life's pretty good.
Right. And it's really cool to watch our kids, like, from the outside watching us.
Oh yeah.
Like, actually connect on a level that is, like, true.
Tatum was so grossed out by us making out in the kitchen the other day. I was kissing up on you, and she was like, "What are you guys doing?" I'm like, "You come on, girl." You know,
The smile on her face.
yeah.
Like, okay.
It was like ew, but then it was like you could tell her heart was warmed by it. You know.
Yeah, and then she wanted to curl up.
She wanted and snuggle, and it's like, man, when the marriage is good, man, it's hard to not be grateful, hard to not be joyful.
Something else that I think is a great way to bring joy back if you don't have it in your life is to take like mental pictures. Like, in a situation where you truly are grateful, to just go, okay, I'm gonna take a second.
Yep.
And look around, take it all in, and then actually like hang on to it. I don't do like this, but I do that a lot, like on Sunday mornings with you.
Yeah.
Like, if I hear our church like worshiping,
when you can hear the people singing louder than the band playing,
I'll lean over and go, listen to our church.
I know, it's amazing.
Like, stop for a second. I know that you're like getting ready to prep.
Yep.
Or, like, not prep. You're getting ready to walk up on stage and preach.
Yep.
But just a second, like, allow this moment to like get down deep in there.
Well, and even just the other night, this was Sunday night, I think, maybe Monday night. It was, yeah. And we were exhausted.
Yeah, we
and
were done that day.
We hadn't taken the dogs on a walk yet, and our dogs were frantic, going insane. And it's like, we've got to take them on a quick walk. And I thought it was just going to be you and I. And then Tatum and Solomon were like, we want to come. And I'm like, oh. Like, my first inclination was like, please just, can we just leave you at the house and we'll come? But they put on their helmets and they rode this little tricycle together. And it was just the perfect moment where they're just going through the neighborhood and they're just having the childhood that we've wanted for them.
Like, laughing till they're crying.
Laughing till they're crying and
lifting each other up. Like, Tatum, can you see? If not, then you need to move your head over on this side. So
it was just perfect family moment. And you pulled out your phone and you were recording it. I was like, thank God, because this is one of those mental pictures.
Yeah, it's a mental. Yeah, now I also have it, not just mental, but those times need to happen.
Totally.
You got to make yourself do it. Because I could have just been like, yeah, this is really cute, but
Yep.
we've got to just get going and it's starting to rain and let's just please get back.
Yep. I love that mental pictures thing because that's a tangible, practical thing that you can do when life is just frantic, chaotic, flying by, for you to go, man, I need to stop and just like breathe and take this in because this is awesome.
Yeah.
Because life, I mean, I keep saying it over and over. Life is a freaking roller coaster.
It is.
It doesn't matter how many things you say no to. It doesn't matter how slow or fast paced your life is. Life is a mist. It's a roller coaster. It starts and it's just wild and crazy, and then it's over before you know it.
Right.
And so you got to stop and take those mental pictures. I still think though, at the end of this thing, man, like there's all that we need to be doing to maintain our joy. And then we could never let a podcast like this go without us getting to the real source of joy, which is connection with God.
Oh, absolutely.
Like if we are not connected to God, it does not matter how many date nights we go on. It doesn't matter how many special memories we make with our kids. If we don't have a deep, abiding connection with God, and that only comes through just the discipline, man.
Right.
Spending time with Him and getting out in nature with Him and reading His Word. And I think having worship music on. I mean, we just this morning on the way to school, taking the kids, it's like
for an hour.
It was a long. We need to do a separate podcast on car line pickup, but just having worship music on to try to just like remind ourselves, like, yeah, God is here, God's with us. Like, I think that connection with God is always going to be the primary focal point, but I think it's oftentimes where most people drop off first, and they look to every other problem in their life. If I could solve this, if I could solve that, if I could get my finances in order, if I could get the promotion, if I could get our marriage fixed, all that, then I would have joy.
Right.
It's like, well, actually, you could have joy way before all that.
For sure.
And some of that stuff's out of your control.
Yeah. A lot of that's out of your control.
No doubt. What you do have control over, though, is are you daily waking up and saying, God, here I am. Would you speak to me?
Yep.
It's the joy of the Lord that's our strength.
Right.
But if you ain't got a connection with the Lord, you ain't got the joy of the Lord.
Right. And time with the Lord can look different.
Totally.
I've been through seasons where the being able to sit down and journal is the thing that is so healthy for my head and my heart. I've been through seasons where sitting in the car by myself in car line, listening to music, belting it at the top of my lungs.
I remember when you were in your treadmill season, you felt like you were connecting with God, running on that treadmill every day, listening to sermons, listening to worship music, and you were just like, yep, I'm going on a run. And
I'll be back.
And that girl wasn't back for an hour and a half, and she was running her feet off. And you were connecting with God.
Yeah.
It looks different.
It looks different. It doesn't have to be I remember putting blame on myself for I wanted our kids to see me in the Word, like when Emmett was, tiny, because they saw you do it like that. And then I was like, I am not a wake up before the children person.
You are not a morning person.
I'm not a morning person.
Nor an evening person.
Nor a late night person.
She's neither an early bird nor a night owl.
So I've just had to come to grips with what happens in my relationship with Jesus during the day. My children will receive after the fact.
Yeah.
I mean, like the things we talk about, how I parent.
Yeah, the heart,
all
and the
of that
mercy, and the grace you give them.
My kids can feel it.
Yeah.
Rather than every morning when I wanted this to be me. I really did. Every morning when I would wake up at the age of 7, I would come downstairs and see my mom wrapped in a robe with her coffee and
her Bible.
That's like, I'm still asleep at that point.
Yeah.
I just can't do
it.
Like,
Mom ain't happy at 6 a.m.
Right. I just don't do that very well. And that's okay.
That's okay.
It's okay.
The point is connection with God.
Right. However it
looks.
Needs to be.
That's right.
In this, I know we're going to say it again, in this season, it will change. If seasons change, then a lot of your life will change, especially how you seek the Lord.
Yeah,
so.
That's so good. Well, man, we're praying that everybody that listens to us, man, we're praying for your family, praying for your future, praying that you would find the joy in the midst of all the goodness. Man, God's doing so many good things in your life. And we want to give you everything you need to not miss it. I know that's what we're trying to do for ourselves. Absolutely. I feel like life is so good right now.
Don't miss it.
And our kids are in such sweet stages, and our church is in such a sweet season, and it's so good. And the devil's just always chirping.
Yeah. And
he's always distracting. You know, if he can't get you to disobey, he'll just distract you.
Right.
And I feel like that's so much of what he tries to do. And I ain't about to let him ruin this season of our life.
And one way that he can do that is distract you from the people that will push you closer to Jesus.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
A little caveat there.
Find the people who push you close.
Yeah.
Stick with them.
Don't be distracted from them.
Yep. That's good. For my family, for my future. Let's keep going. Episode 2. We out.